Hi there, I'm Aussie Villain and welcome to a tutorial on getting started in Football Manager 2019. So you've got your job as the manager of whatever club it is you want to manage, and now you need to know what to do next. Now the first thing I always think you should do is just assess your squad. Now, as you can see, I'm a little way into my game here with Manchester United. But one thing you do want to do is check your under 23s, your under 18s, your under 20s, your youths, whatever club you're at, whatever their youth club is. Always check that to see what you have. Now, there's not necessarily any players here that are useful for me this season, but just, we have Dean Henderson here, really promising goalkeeper, Twanzebe, really promising central defender. Players like that I can't necessarily use this year, but I don't necessarily want to go out and buy as backup goalkeeper because I have a good one sitting there ready for next year. And yeah, we can see here, judging by the player rating here, the potential. You just want to know what's in your youth system, so you know what you have, and you might find someone you can use instantly. Now, the way that you get these star ratings for potential and ability, hit the reports here and go down. Or hit this thing up here. It's usually on general info, I think, or maybe it's on selection info. Hit that, go down to reports, and it'll tell you their current ability and as well as their potential ability. Now, what you can sometimes find, though, if we go and have a look at an example here, is if you go to, say, Chelsea, you look at their under 23s. You have Gary Cahill, who you could potentially want to use if you're Chelsea manager, English player, international defender. You also have Ruben Loftus-Cheek sitting in the under 23s right now. You never know what you're going to find, and sometimes you do find some players that will genuinely help your first team. So that's the first thing I always say is go and check your youth squads and know exactly what you have at the club, not just necessarily in the first team. And then you want to go to your tactics. Now, what you want to do with your tactics is find the best way to play for your players. Now, I've played around it a little bit. The tactics have been reformed for Football Manager 2019, so it's a little bit more difficult than what it had been previously. Now, what I had done initially is I'd set up my Manchester United team to play tiki-taka. That didn't work. The reason that didn't work, I think, is because they don't have the sort of... You think Barcelona, don't you? So you think technical... good movement off the ball, really good passing. I don't think the Manchester United squad are quite that good. But what they can play really well, I've found, is the controlled possession, which is very similar to tiki-taka. Tiki-taka is just a more extreme example of it. But you have your gegenpress, which you'll want your really hard-working players for. Your wing play, which is, potentially could work at Manchester United, actually, but that's not the way I personally like to play. But have a look at the players that you have available to you and work out the best way for you to play. And what you can also look to do then is if you have, say you have the players to play this particular, well, let's look at the formation that I actually have the team set up to play. So you have, this is the team you have the players for, the formation that you want to play, but you can see right now I'm lacking a target man. Now that's because Lukaku's just going having a rest, but you have this formation perfect. You just need a target man. You can go out and you can look for a target man in the transfer window. So basically what you want to do is find the best players that you have at the club, find a formation that suits the majority of them, then any weaknesses become glaringly obvious for you. So you have all your best players in your first team, you have a set of tactics or a tactic that generally works for you. Then what you're going to want to do is head on over to training. Now I'm going to do a separate tutorial on training, so we'll go into that a little bit more detail. But what you want to do to start with is go over at the top here to coaches, and then go to edit coaching assignments. Now what you want to do is make sure that you're maximizing the coaches that you have, so you get the best sort of star rating down the bottom here. So, for example, if I was to take, who have we got here? Who's a coach? So if I was to take Gary Neville off technical defending onto technical attacking, his star rating is 3 as opposed to 3.5, 4. So you just want to make sure that you have your coaches set up so that you're getting the best star rating that you can. And then you want to see down here the workload, have that as light as possible. Now what you'll notice I have here is Neil Wood, our under 23 assistant manager. He's just basically spread out. He's not necessarily there because his rating is for the best. He's there to reduce the workload. That was a poor example there, but for this one here, if we were to take him off, I don't actually even know what he's doing there. There we go. There's finally an example. If we take him off helping Gary Neville with the technical defending. Suddenly it's just one coach, the workload's very heavy. So he's just there to lighten the workload. So it's okay to have coaches do that, as long as you have one coach that sort of leads the session and has the good star rating. And then you could easily have another coach that is there just to lighten the workload. Now with Manchester United, you have obviously all the coaches that you could ever want. You will find clubs where you might only have 2 or 3 coaches, and the workload's going to be high, the star rating's going to be low. Just do your best. Just play around with it so that you get everybody, as much as possible, it being even. Or if you want to make sure that you have really good defenders and make sure that's higher. You want to have somebody on everything. You don't want to have a section that doesn't have any coach on there, but you do want to have as high a rating as possible for each individual thing. So one thing that you can look to do is to improve this, and if you have space for coaching, it's quite a good feature actually of the games. If you go into staff, where is it down here? There it is there. If you go into staff and you go to staff search, you can actually, if you go in here, you can pick the traits so say you want a coach that is defending tactical, it'll highlight that for you. Click OK, and then it'll give you options. Now, it's unlikely you're going to find everything there for 15. Now, you can sort of do one of 2 options. You can either match 8 of 9, or going down till you find a match for that, or you can just reduce the requirements. So maybe they all want to be 12, and there you go. There you can see that we have a few options now. What I would generally do when I'm doing it is so the 2 key attributes. So if it's defending tactically, so I would say I'd keep tactical coaching up. We've gone a bit too high there, and I'd keep defensive coaching up, and then everything else you can lower down till you find someone that sort of fits the bill. But that's just me personally. You'll find what works, what coaches are available for you. You may not have a choice. You may just have to get as close as you can. You may just find a good defensive coach. Sometimes if you're managing right down the lower leagues or in a smaller Asian league or something like that, you don't have a choice. But that's how you search for coaches. And as I said, just make sure you get the star ratings at the bottom as consistent and as high as you can. So now you want to scout players to sign, don't you? That is half the fun after all, is signing the players. So what you want to do is head on over to the scouting center. If you go to player search, and then you can see the sort of scouting package that you have here. Now for Manchester United, they're the world's biggest club. They can scout whoever they want. So you can go world, and it just means nothing to them. Now if you're a smaller club, and by a smaller club, it could even just mean another Premier League club, in all honesty. You want to be realistic with who you're scouting. Now, for youth particularly, especially if you're in Europe or if you're in a league that has work permits, work permit restrictions or foreign player restrictions, particularly work permit restrictions, you don't want to end up scouting the world if you can only sign, say a European player for work permit reasons, or if you can only sign an Asian player for foreign player limit reasons. So just be realistic in where you're scouting. It's usually as best as possible, to get, if you need it or if you have the ability to get the worldwide for senior packages, for senior scouting. You want to find the best players you can. Now, the problem with youth players is that they can struggle to get work permits. So scouting the world for a youth player, if you're not going to be able to get a work permit for them, it can be a bit of a waste. Now, like I say, with Manchester United, with the richer clubs, it doesn't matter. They can waste some money. They might find one in 10 years. That might be the next Messi, and it's worth their while. They've made their money back. But if you're a club with lesser financial resources, don't waste your money. Just scout Europe, scout your country, or your exact local region. You want to get maybe as high up as you can, but you don't want to spend all your money on scouting either. So if you were, say, in the Vanarama North, you're not going to scout Europe. You might scout UK and Ireland but chances are you can't afford it. You'd be better off scouting senior players in UK and Ireland than youth, because it's twice the price to scout youth players, and you may not find anybody. And you want to go up the leagues. You just want senior players for the most part, or younger senior players. So just be realistic with what you're trying to get out of your scouts. But yeah, I mean that's sort of the main message, I guess. Is just be realistic of where you're scouting and what you expect to get out of it. Next, after scouting, next logical step is transfers, obviously. Now, what I always think with transfers is sign for when you want to win the league. So for Manchester United, when do you want to win the league? This season, don't you? So you sign players that can win you the league that season. Say you're playing as Burnley, when do you want to win the league? You're probably talking 5-6 seasons down the track. So there's no point signing a 30-year-old, world class or as close to world class as you can get midfielder for Burnley, because essentially it's going to go to waste. You're better off signing a very, very high prospect 20-year-old midfielder. So in 5 years' time, 25, 26, you've either sold him on for a massive profit, which you can then reinvest into the squad, or you have a player that's ready to win the league when you as a club are also ready to win the league. So again, there's a little bit of being realistic of where you are as a club and where you hope to take them. But yeah, make sure you're signing players that are going to be ready to win the league when you as a club are. Now, the other piece of advice that I have is don't sign players at the start just for the sake of signing players. If you have a glaring weakness in the squad, you have 2 centre-backs, but you want to play 3 at the back, go and sign yourself a centre-back. But what signing lots and lots of players does is it affects this. It affects the match or the team cohesion. It can affect the dressing room atmosphere. So what you want to do is, I think, is just wait for... You have another transfer window in January. It's less than 6 months away. Play with the squad you have, see exactly what your weaknesses are. You might find that you have a winger that you can retrain as a really, really effective wingback and save yourself the money on buying a wingback or a fullback. So I always say, take your time. Don't sign anybody just for the sake of signing it in the first with the first transfer window. If something comes up, by all means do it. But otherwise, wait for January, wait for the next summer, and then you'll know exactly what you need and sign the best players possible, rather than sign somebody and I've done it myself. You sign somebody and then 2 weeks later you're just like, why did I sign him? We don't even need him, or he's not as good as I thought, or what did I see in him? So take your time, don't sign for the sake of it at the start. Just give yourself a little bit of wiggle room there and make your signings further down the line. So you've done all that, you've made your signings, your scouting, your training's all set, tactics, then it's up to games, isn't it? Pre-season, you've got to get yourself match fit. Now, what you want to do is you want to try and play friendlies that basically bring you in the most income. Now, for a club like Manchester United, we went off to China, made an absolute butt ton of money playing in China, got a nice friendly in there against Real Madrid as well, and we made a lot of money doing that. Now, if you're another club, that's not going to be an option for you. So, again, it's all back down to being realistic. But realistic in this is just basically when you go to a range of friendly, we'll try and put one in here. I don't know how many options we're going to have. But, so if I was arranging this, Besiktas want to give me 200,000. Who else have we got here? So it looks like Besiktas is going to be the best one for us. We'll arrange the friendly. Their fee is 200,000. We get 425,000 income. That's not a bad friendly for us to make. But then there we go. If you play Anderlecht, the fee is 180,000. We get 450 income from it. So that's actually the better friendly. Now, if you were to go and play schedule it away from home, you can see. So Besiktas, they're gonna charge. They'll give us 300,000. So depending on the size of your stadium, depending on so many factors, this is mid-season too, so it's not even it's not the best time to be arranging a friendly, but play around with it. I think in actual fact, the better offer for us here would be to play at home versus Anderlecht, and my maths is pretty rough at the best of times, but I think that might work out. No, 300,000 at Besiktas would be better, wouldn't it? Now, when you Manchester United, everybody wants to play you. So it's, you can organise a friendly every day of the week if you wanted and make a lot of money. But that's not the case for every club. As you can see here, now this is a Central Coast Mariners, an Australian A-League team, one of the smaller clubs in the A-League as well. Now you can see all our friendlies. I can tell you because I know the area. These are all the Sydney clubs. They're basically they've barely left their surroundings. That's the friendlies that they can get. They can only play the clubs around them locally, and that's what pre-season is for them. Lot different, not even a little bit different. Very, very different to Manchester United, the way they organise friendlies. And again, just to sort of show you the difference in the cash that we're talking about here, if we were to go and arrange a home friendly against a large foreign team, Sheffield United, we'd get 14 grand. Now, they're an affiliate club, so that's maybe a bad example because they're not charging a fee. But even if we were to, I don't even have the option of international teams. That's sort of how different that is. But look at this. New South Wales Institute of Sport, or whatever that is, would make it, an income of, 5 grand when you take away their fee. So what is a money spinning friendly? It does very much vary from club to club. It's just maximising what you can do with the club that you're at. But that's it for this tutorial, guys. I hope you found that helpful. If you have, please do hit like, and of course make sure you subscribe and hit the little bell. There's the AV over there. Give that a tap, and as I said, the bell, so you can see when I upload more videos. There are going to be more tutorials. I'll go into depth with every section that we've done today. I might do one for press conferences as well and a few other things. So do make sure you subscribe so that you are getting the best of that. And of course, I'll have some Let's Plays going as well when the game launches proper. So it's probably launched proper by the time I put this out. But again, do check back, watch me in action, if you will. But until next time, guys, I've been Aussie Villain. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful. Take care.